Hi everyone, good morning. Share my screen. Yes. Let me log into my AWS console. Okay, let us discuss what we have discussed in our last class. Let's have a quick recap. I'll go to EC2 and when EC2 is running, let me stop it. Okay. And we are talking about these things which are there in the on my left, on the left pane, right? So we have EC2 dashboard and we know what it is. You can see all things related to EC2. See, I have one instance running. Just now I have stopped it. It takes some time. So now it's 0. Key pairs, we know. Placement groups, we have not talked about that. We will discuss today. Snapshots, also, we have not talked about it. We know volumes. Volumes are nothing but EBS volumes. I have 4 EBS volumes. I have 2 instances. This instance has one root volume and this instance has one root volume, and I have 2 more volumes, EBS volumes. You can see here under your elastic block store. These are nothing but in your, I think it's a storage. Storage is the step name. I think it's 4th or 5th step. There will be root volume, and if we want, we have an option of adding more volumes or modifying volumes, right? So those volumes, these are the volumes. 2 volumes are in use because I have 2 instances. 2 root volumes are there, that's why they are in use, and 2 other volumes are there but they are not in use. They are available, but they are not in use. If I want to use them, I can select actions and attach volume to the instance. So let us go back to instance dashboard. Sorry, here, right? EC2 dashboard. That is volume. Security groups, we know security groups, inbound rules, outbound rules, and by default, except the virtual protocol, all other protocols are denied in inbound rules. Inbound means the traffic that you are letting in into your EC2 instance. Outbound means going outside of your instance. So by default, outbound, all the traffic is allowed, and inbound, all the traffic is denied except the virtual protocol rule. So we know security groups. And then dedicated hosts, we have discussed. No dedicated host instances, 2 are there. This is EC2 dashboard. Here, if you want, there are account attributes. supported platforms VPC. So these make sense more when we talk about VPC. And this is the place where if you want to edit anything related to zones, you can do that. Right now I have 3 availability zones. I cannot do much in this region, Mumbai. If you go to region, say North Virginia, see same zones. We have US East, all these things all together. There will be 6 availability zones, and you can also see local zones here, local zones and wavelength zones, which we talked in our starting classes. We talked about AWS regions, availability zones, local zones, and then wavelength zones, and they are not available in all regions. So if you want to opt for those local zones or availability zones, you can come here. See, wavelength zones are there here, but they are disabled. If you want them, if you want to launch your EC2 servers in these wavelength zones, then you have to manage and enable them. That's it. Then when you are creating your EC2 instance in step 3, you'll have an option of choosing network and subnet. If you enable this, in that list, you'll also get your availability zones. If you are developing some application and this application have more users who operate it in smartphone, and to make it a less latency or highly available application, what you can do, you can enable this wavelength zone and add your servers, create your servers in wavelength zone. That's it. Your application will be on that wavelength zone, and the mobile users who are accessing your application using 5G network will get them quickly, a single digit latency they say. And these are availability zones. You can see availability zones by default are enabled like in any other region, and North Virginia has 6 availability zones. Usually other regions will have only 3, and these are local zones and wavelength zones. That's it. And then we'll go back to our Mumbai region. And EBS encryption, it's disabled. If you want to encrypt your EBS volumes, that means data which is stored in your EBS volumes will be stored in encrypted format, then you have to enable this. Default credit specification, we already talked about credit specification, right? Just give me a minute, guys. And console experiments, so we have something called as serial console. We'll talk about that later after talking about snapshot and other things. And we have tags. We know what tags are. Limits, you can calculate limits based on your instance type. And then instances, the EC2 virtual machines, is it is nothing but virtual machine which you have created. You can see here, you can control them, you can edit them, we can say you can start stop them. This is the place where you can do all those things. Instances, and we know instance types, right? We have instance families. What are those families, guys? We discussed about instance families. General purpose family, Do you guys remember those things? General purpose and what are other families?
Compute optimized,
Yes, compute optimized.
memory optimized,
Yes, very good. Memory optimized.
maybe accelerate,
Yeah,
and
accelerated computing.
yeah, and storage optimized.
Yes, storage optimized. So those are families. Yes. Yes, it's the computer optimized and compute optimized, accelerated computing, memory optimized. Based on your application and its requirements, these instance types are available. General purpose means it's not a low configuration computer. These computers are we also have high performance and good computers in general purpose family also, but what they provide is their configuration as balance of memory, processing power, storage and network. Everything will be in balance, equal. So they also provide high performance. Yeah, A1, T2 and M4 are general purpose, yes. And for general applications, you can go for this, and also small and medium databases, you can go for these type of EC2 instances. And we have compute family, compute optimized. That means they have more processors. If you compare with general purpose, if you take general purpose because they are general computers, if you compare these with general computers, general type, they will have more CPUs. Yes, C4 family. They'll have more CPUs compared with general purpose. And then we have memory optimized. So memory optimized is different. It's used for databases and in your batch processing application where you have to process a huge amount of data. And you obviously, when you want to process huge amount of data, it has to be done, speed has to be high. Which speed? Your processor will contact, communication happens between your processor and hard drive. Memory is different, storage is different. Memory means your RAM is directly attached to processor, whereas storage is not directly attached to your processor. There will be different buses. uh, Through these buses your processor is connected to your storage. That's why data which is in storage, if your processor is accessing that data, first that data will be kept in RAM if any processing is happening. Then from RAM, your processor will process that data. It can be any data. That is a thing what happens, that is a procedure. If you want these transactions, processor to storage transactions, EBS transactions, to be fast than normal, we call something as EBS optimized instances also. That means your EBS and processor transaction will be fast. So these memory instances families, especially they are used when for databases, big databases. If you want a backend server with a database, then you know that your database is huge, then the best option is to go to storage optimized instance. And we also have memory optimized instance. As I said, memory means you will get more memory. And your suppose machine learning algorithm, the data set of your machine learning algorithm is huge and it has to be processed. And if you want your machine learning algorithm to be quick, not only compute power, you should also look into memory. So you look into memory because you want your algorithm to be run quickly. So just looking into your compute power is not sufficient. Memory is also important. Why? Because your data set is big, huge. If your memory is also big, then this machine learning algorithm will be a quick one. Sometimes when your memory is low, even in your laptop, your applications will be running slowly. You will get these kind of warning messages, your memory is full. So if you don't have sufficient memory, then that will also impact the speed. So in such type of scenarios, you should go for memory optimized, storage optimized, memory optimized, and accelerated computing. Accelerated computing uses more powerful hardware, not only software. They use more powerful computing hardware, processors, good RAM, all these things. That is accelerated computing. Yes, it is for compute intense applications, and also these compute intense applications, we want that they have to be executed quickly. So in such scenarios, go for accelerated computing. And again, in each family we have different sizes, like you have t-shirt sizes, XL, double XL, 4XL, 8XL, large. So different sizes are there. That's about instance types. And then we have talked about pricing model. In this pricing model, we have regular pricing model, that is called as on demand pricing model. You pay for the number of running hours and on monthly basis, that is regular one. And you have spot requests. This spot request, you don't know when you are testing something. Even though if that server is not there, you're fine. If it is in stop state or if it is terminated also is fine. In such scenarios, you can go for spot instance. And AWS provide these spot instances for us on bid, based on your bid. And you don't know when they will stop these instances, and also they will give very short notice period. Before 2 minutes they will send you a mail and stop or terminate your instance. And then reserved instances. If you are running your instance for a very long period of time on AWS, then you can go and opt for reservation, get it for cheaper prices. Instead of paying on monthly basis, you'll pay upfront. Then AWS say that they will provide you around 70% of discount compared with on demand pricing model. And then similar to reserved instances, we have savings plan. Here you'll also give commitment that you are paying for number of hours. You are not getting reservation. You are paying, giving a commitment that yes, I am going to run this instance 10 hours each day. 10 hours each day, and monthly this is going to be a number of hours. So for that number of hours you'll pay. That is savings plan. Yes, and we have capacity reservations, where you can reserve capacity on dedicated hosts, the dedicated hardware for your instance. We discussed about all these things. And today we will talk about volume, snapshots, and AMIs. So for this, first I'll go and start my instance. And any doubts, guys? Have you guys done this? Okay, let me ask Durga, have you created your AWS account?
No, ma'am. Actually, I lost my ATM card today. I'll take, ma'am. Actually, I applied 3 days back. Today it will
Okay,
come.
okay. So it has to be Visa or MasterCard. Other cards will not work.
Visa, ma'am.
Okay. And credit card if is better. Sometimes debit card may also not work, but try credit card is recommended.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, one second.
And others, any doubts?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Actually, I'm new to this session. Today only I joined for this session.
Okay. Yes, Sandeep.
I
Yes, Sandeep.
actually I don't know the classes were started by on Saturday. I know that the AWS classes were started, so I joined it today only.
Okay.
Mm.
No problem. You can go through the recordings.
Okay, ma'am.
Recordings are there in YouTube channel, it seems.
Okay, ma'am.
So you can go through those recordings.
Ma'am, the section up to where the module completed, ma'am. Can I know?
Duration of the session
Um,
course, right?
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it will be around 40 hours.
40 hours.
40 hours,
Uh,
1 month, slightly extend more than 1 month.
okay, ma'am. No, up to which module the portion was completed, ma'am?
We are still in module 1 only, module 1 or 2. We have created one EC2 instance,
Okay, ma'am.
and we have talked about things related to EC2. So we are
Oh,
still in EC2 module only.
okay, ma'am.
We have launched our instance and talked a few things related to instance.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
I will listen the recorded videos,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yes, please go through the recordings.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, guys, then let's start. I'll start this instance. Start instance. Yes, I got my public IPv4 DNS, and this is my public IP address. It's some 13.235.128 something is there. And this is dynamic IP address. Each time when I stop and start my instance, I'll get a new IP address. This is not static. Let me stop the instance. Stop. So this is my IP address. Let me copy this. No, we cannot copy. Let us look into the last octet. It's 128.89 and it start with 13.235 something. Yeah, now seems like I have the instance state is stopped. Now let us start the instance. Select it and go to instance state, start instance. Yes, we got our public IPv4 DNS. See, this is a different IPv4 address, 3.108.218.6. Suppose if you don't want this to happen, you want your IP address to be static. Why? You are using this IPv4 address with other services, say for example. If you keep your instance in always running state, then it's fine. Your IP address will not change. If you are stopping and starting your instance, then your IP address will change, which you don't want. Then you have to opt for elastic IP. Then you'll get some static IP address. Let us assign one elastic IP. In the same left pane, you have network and security, where you can manage your security groups, and below that you have your elastic IPs. You cannot create a elastic IP because you are not creating it. You are getting one elastic IP for your instance from a pool of IP addresses which are already managed and maintained by AWS. Allocate elastic IP address. You are getting, as I said, IPv4 address from the pool of addresses. So we are getting Amazon's pool of IPv4 address. Allocate. The same address. This address has been allocated for me. Now what we can do is go to actions, associate these IP address with my server. Associate elastic IP address. Yes, I want to associate with my instance. So resource type is instance. And then choose instance. In the drop down, you'll get, so this is the instance. And then private IP address. If you want to assign any elastic, if you want one particular elastic private IP address, then you can also choose this, but we don't want that. So we want our elastic IP address to be a public one only, so associate. Yes, we have associated, where you can see name, you can name your elastic IP address, and this is IPv4 address which are allotted for you. Type is public IP. If you want to make it private, we have seen that option. You can make it as private IP address. Allocation ID and associated instance ID. And this is your instance's private IP address. Other things. Let us go here. This is public IP address. This is my elastic IP address. If I again reboot, not reboot, start and stop instance, that means you are shutting down your computer and starting again, I'll get the same IP address every time. That is elastic IP, static IP for your instance. And coming to elastic IP pricing, if your instance is running state, then AWS will not charge for this elastic IP. If your instance is in stop state, and if you are holding this elastic IP, then for that time AWS is going to charge for having elastic IP, because you are holding that IP address. You are not actually using it, but you are holding it. Then your elastic IP will become a chargeable one. And how to delete your elastic IP? You cannot delete it. As I said, you are not creating, you are not deleting, you are just holding and releasing. Go to elastic IPs, actions. First you have to disassociate. See, release elastic IP is not there. First you have to disassociate. Yes, I'm disassociating with this instance. And then release elastic IP. Release. So no elastic IP. That is elastic IP. And we have talked about status checks, right? You have system status checks and instance status checks. System status check is AWS side one, and the other instance status check is related to your instance, your environment. We know this public IP, private IP, all these things. A security group, key name, launch time. we know about all these metrics. And you can see all these metrics here. Now let us talk about volumes. And we will do a hands-on now. We will create one EBS volume and see how to mount these EBS volumes on top of your existing EC2 instance. That means EC2 instance is already created. While creating, you have an option of adding more volumes. We know that you can add more volumes at there. You have an option you can add. But after creating instance, your instance, you have used it for some time, and then you realize that you want more storage. Yes, you can go and add more volumes. This is the place where you can do that. You can create volume and attach to your instance. Yes, clear guys? Any doubts? So open your AWS console. If you have your instance there, keep it in running state and come to this dashboard. Volumes. Under your Elastic Block Store, you have volumes.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Okay, done everyone. Everyone has to be in this dashboard or console. Difference between memory, storage, and volume. Volume is nothing but your storage. See, your hard drive, you say that if you look into laptop's configuration, you'll have some storage. And further, your storage is divided into partitions by your operating system. You'll have C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive. Actually, what are those things? Those are different volumes in your storage is partitioned into those different volumes. Same thing. Volume is nothing but storage. You are adding more volumes, means more partitions. That's it. Memory is your RAM. And let me check, do I have this document? I'll post it in the chat box. You can get commands from there. Recent. Not there. Oh, not this one. Seems like I don't have that. No problem. Okay, create one volume. So here, yes, we want general purpose SSD. Group 2 by default it has to be there. Size, be careful, it's saying that 100 GB max is this number. Let us only give 1 GB. 1 is enough. Why? Because we should not exceed our 30 GB limit if you have 2 or 3 instances already running. So let us keep it as 1 GB. If you have only one instance running, you can try with 5 GB, 10 GB, or 20 GB also. But the limit has to be below 30 GB. All EBS volumes put together, you should have uh, below 30 GB because 30 GB is our limit. And then availability zone is 1A, and you have to look into this. Your instance and this one EBS volume which you are creating has to be in same availability zone. Let us go to EC2 and check what is EC2's availability zone. Go to instance here. Here. My availability zone. Here itself I can see, not here. Here. If you come here, it's 1A only. So let us create our volume in 1A availability zone. So if your availability zone is a different one, B or C, 1B or 1C, it has to be the same availability zone with your volume also. So let's go to volume. Create volume. Let us create 1 GB. And availability zone has to be this only, AP South 1A. Snapshot ID, we are not using anything. Encryption also, we are not going for that. Rest of the things, keep it as default. And create volume. You have to just give the size, that's it. And also you should look into availability zone. It has to be the same as your EC2's availability zone. And then create volume. Guys, just give me a minute. I'll get back to you. Okay, let's start. So everyone done? Created your volume? Okay, and also I'll post this document in the chat box. So you can go through this. It has details on how to mount EBS volume both on Linux and Windows. Yes, you can download this and follow those steps. Okay, and let us go back to our console. I have created one volume, this one available, which I have created just now. Let us name it my extra volume because I have many volumes. So just give a name to easily identify it. So this 1 GB volume, this extra volume, I am going to attach with the instance. How? You have to choose your volume, actions, and attach volume. It will ask the instance. In the drop down, you can select this instance. And no need to edit this. This is the device name. The new volumes name given by your Linux. It's a /dev/sdf. You can also see newer Linux kernels may rename your devices. That means after logging to your EC2 instances, name may or may not be the same one, because they say that's why there is a notice saying that new Linux kernels may rename your devices internally. Suppose if you see your device name is this, maybe internal OS call it as with these names. It might change, may or it can be same, or sometimes it may be different also. Even when the device name entered here is this, you will get this one internally. So
Excuse me.
yes,
Yeah, actually, I've created one volume, but I can see there are two volumes here. That is one created on June 21, that is today, and the other is June 16.
yes, this is my root volume. I have
Okay.
two instances, right? Two instances. These two instances have two volumes, root volumes. They come by default. They will have operating system files, etc.
No, I'm talking about my system. Actually, I have one instance.
Yes, that
But
means you have created one instance on June 16th.
okay.
When you are launching your instance, you have attached one root volume. By default, it will be there. Without that root volume, you cannot create instance.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
that one. That
okay,
8 GB is root volume. Yes.
okay. Yeah.
Here, this is my instance. So let me call it as root volume. This one is root volume. This is extra volume. Root volume, it comes by default when you create EC2 instance. I have created EC2 instance on 16th June, and this is root volume attached to it. Now I want extra 1 GB volume, so I am creating this extra 1 GB volume. After creating this, what you have to do, you have to attach with your instance. Attach volume, give instance name, That's it. Only thing you have to do is give instance. Device will automatically that will be automatically assigned. Done, everyone? Attach volume to the instance. Yes, okay. Now you have externally attached your volume to your instance. It's like as good as buying a external hard drive and connecting to your computer. That part is done. And it's very simple on cloud. You have everything. You are virtually doing that. Just you have created a volume. That means you got one extra hardware, and in actions you have attached to it. That means connected to your computer. You have configured that part. Now internally at OS level, you have to mount this volume uh, for your operating system, your Linux kernel, for your Linux operating system. Even though this external disk is attached to the computer, it will not identify it, it will not consider it. You have to mount it. Clear? So for that, we need to connect to our instance first. You can connect through SSH or through browser. Anyone is fine. Connect. I'm using my browser. Connect. So if there are any Linux users, how to SSH into your instances? Using terminal. You have to go to your terminal. Go to your terminal, and I have my keypair in downloads. The first thing I have to do is go to my downloads, and just you have to copy couple of commands from here. First is this one. You have to copy this. Before that, on your terminal, you have to navigate to path where your keypair is there. And this is your first command. For Mac users, this is second command. And also for Linux users. This example, you have to copy this example command. You say yes, yes. What happened? Seems like I don't have this keypair on this laptop, but this is the procedure. I created this EC2 instance in a different laptop. I saved the keypair in that laptop, so I'm getting error. Otherwise, I will be able to connect. And for this AMI, you have an option of using browser. So let us connect through browser. And open this Word document also. Okay, choose an encoding. Okay. So this is not, it's PDF, right? Sorry. So here you have some other extra information which you can go through that later. Any group was created for AWS? No, Sandeep. As of now, no. Just contact the person who is your point of contact. Just contact them for those details, WhatsApp group and all. Okay, let's start. So you have to connect to your instance. And the first thing is you can log in as root user, or you can also execute these commands as a regular user, but let's log in as root user. Sudo su hyphen is the command, or sudo hyphen I. Anything is fine. You will be logged in as root user. And type in as lsblk. What is this lsblk means? You are listing the devices, disks, not devices, disks that are connected to this EC2 instance. And it's best practice to every time start from your root directory or parent directory. cd space slash. We know that every thing is a part of root directory. You will not get this file not found error. To avoid that, it's the best practice to start at parent directory as a beginner. Yes, and now lsblk, which means listing the devices. You'll get this one. Right now we have only our root volume attached. And you can, yes.
I'm still getting command not found after giving cd slash command also.
What are you getting?
Command not found.
cd space /.
Yeah, that's what I have given. Okay, let me try again.
Okay. Check, have you given space or given double space, something like that?
No. Or else can I share my screen?
Yes, let me stop my screen share. Okay. You can share your screen. lsblk is the command. There is typo. lsblk. You have given lslbk as command. lsblk. Right? Yes. So this command is to check your disks mounted on your EC2 instance. We have only one. That is root volume. And then if you look here, this is your command to check whether the additional volume which is there, it has any data or not. Say sudo, this one. This one. This is your next command. Sudo is we are already a root user, so you can just say file -s /dev, and here xvdf is there, but we are not getting xvdf. I'm not getting this. So here I should get that extra volume mounted. Let me go and check. To
I got it
which
in
got
XVD.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. So I didn't got it in the list. Let me go and check. Maybe I have connected to the same instance or attached to my volume to a different instance. EC2 volumes, extra volume is available. I have not attached it. I should get status as in use. Attach volume to this instance. Yes, attach. Now it is in use, and connect to this. You need not log in as root user, but if you are not logging in as root user, then you have to use sudo command in front of these commands. So I'm logging in as root user, and I start from my parent directory, and then ls bs blk. Now I can see this xvdf, right? And this has to be my command. It's just to check whether this file has any data or not. So if you get output as data, then it is empty. So we are just checking whether it's empty or not. You can also skip this because you know it's already empty. You have just now created it. Sorry, file -s. Dev stands for device, and what is our device name? xvdf. This is empty one. You will get this. And then use this command sudo ls blk -f for to get information about all the devices attached to the instance. So we already done it. Let us do it once again. ls blk -f. This is somewhat extra information. It also gives mount point. Here only type of the mount point is there, but you see this is xvda, and then as I said, operating system internally calling it with a different name. It has named it as xvdl, and it's there part partition. This stands for partition, where it is has been mounted in the place called /. Every time I say cd /, I call this as root directory, parent directory, and all the files will be here. So, while talking about Linux, we talked about all these things, right? So this is the mount point for your root volume. Mount point is nothing but some name, some folder that or directory. Suppose if you compare Windows, in Windows we have C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive, right? That means your E drive has some volume associated with it. Similarly, F. So what are these E, F, C? They are mount points. Mount points to the internal hardware. And this / is mount point for my root volume. And I don't have mount point for my extra volume. I have to choose one. I can choose any existing one, or I can go for, I'll create one directory and call it as mount point. So let us make one directory, mkdir. Make directory, and then you can call it with any name. Name can be anything. And when you are creating directory, / has to be there. Let us call this as extra volume because I have named it as extra volume here on my EC2 dashboard. Volumes, extra volume. So I'll call this as a directory also extra volume. Now ls. I have extra volume, right? Extra volume has been created. So let us make this extra volume as mount point for my new volume. Say pwd current working directory is this one, and xvda, which is root volume, this has been mounted on this /. Now the extra volume which I have created, I'll mount using this directory, extra volume directory, right? Clear about this? Any doubts? Okay. Now we have to declare the file system. What does that mean? In Windows also we have file system called FAT32 file system, NFS file system, right? Not NFS, NAT, something like that. FAT32, NAT, these are file systems. Like in Linux also we have file system. And you have to declare that file system. So let us do that. MKFS stands for file system, make file system. There are different types of file systems. You can Google search file systems in Linux, something like that. And the latest file system is ext4. You have to say -t stands for type, make file system of type ext4, and your device name. What is your device name? This one. This is your device name. /dev/xvdf. So what we are saying that this file system, this volume uses this file system. This is a newer version of file system. Previous version is ext3. Before that we have ext2 or something. So if you insert pen drive or SD card in Windows and right click and check on properties, you will see the file system. It says either FAT32 or something like NAT or something. So those are types of file system like that. In Linux also this is file system, and we are declaring that. I'm going to use my extra volume. I'm declaring that extra volume uses this file system ext4. Hit enter. Done. You should get done. And you can find the same command here also. Sudo mkfs, before that this one, sudo mkfs -t. See, xfs is their mount point name in this document. You have to use your mount point name. My mount point name is extra volume. Okay, sorry, this is a different command. Okay, anyway, you can go to directly this. I have not used xfs. Let me try this command. Make file system XFS. So here they are using a different file system, guys. Try this. If you're getting error, then try with ext4. I am using ext4 and the document which I have shared, it's using XFS as the file system. No problem. If you're getting error, go with this. Make file system of type ext4. You can use any one of this, either ext4 or XFS. But don't run both. Any one of this one or either this one. Done, everyone? Any doubts? All clear? Done? Yes, now we have almost done it. We have created our mount point. We have declared our file system. Now let us mount. Mount command starts with mount only. And your device name XVDF in my case. Most of the times it will be XVDF only. If it is a different name for you, please go and check here. Device name, where you get in this list. You'll get in this list. You can identify with size. Okay, going back. So I'm saying mount this device to my mount point. My mount point is extra volume. If you have given any other name, go with that name. Mount is the command, give your device name and then the directory which you have created. That is your mount point. So successfully we have mounted it. It will not show anything. To check it, you can say df -h space dot. You can locate these commands here also. And to check, we have successfully mounted. If you are not getting any text after executing this command, that means you have successfully mounted it. Just hit enter. See what I have done. I have created this XVDL 8 GB. It's mounted on this, but I'm not getting this mount point extra volume. Let's say LSBLK once. Yeah, here it's showing. I don't know why it didn't came here. No problem. If this is not showing this command, try with LSBLK. Now I'm getting C. If you compare previously what I got, XVDF is just a disk, no partition, no mount point for it for XVDF. Now for this device XVDF, yes, I have mount point for this / extra volume. Clear? Any doubts? And people who are not doing, please find the attachment which I have shared in chat box, download that and try to do it. And I can use this extra volume now. I can create, if I create any files here in the extra volume, that means they are in that extra hard disk. But here the thing is, when you reboot or when you stop and start your instance, your Linux operating system will consider only root volume. And the next time when you start it or reboot it, again you have to mount the extra volume. And to avoid this, you have to do some procedure, automatically mount an attached volume. So go through these things. And also I want you to try Windows. So take this as an assignment, make an Amazon EBS volume available for use on Windows. Go through this document and try to mount volume on Windows and let me know in next class. Share document once again in the chat box. Sure. File. Guys, one more time I have shared it. Everyone please download it. Try this. Yes, now the thing is, you will not get this mount point when you reboot. Your Linux operating system considers only root volume as a default disk. It will not consider your extra volume as a default disk. For that, you have to make entry in Linux file system. In one of the file in the Linux file system, it maintains entries of disks. And every time it boots up, it will look into that file and it adds those disks as default ones. If you edit that file and add your extra volume in that file, then Linux OS consider it when it boots up also. I can't see your message. Is it like that? Okay, switch your chat box to everyone, Shravani. So click on your chat and click on everyone in meeting. It has to come. Try that. Click on everyone in meeting. Yes, now are you able to see? No. Others? Lakshmi got it. Lipsita got it. I think we can't see shared docs in mobile. Are you using mobile, Shravani? She is doing hands-on also, right? Okay, you're using mobile. In such case, what I'll do, I'll share a Google, that is my Drive link. You can get it from there. Oh, they can't get Drive link to in chat box. So let's try. Or I have this thing called paste bin. Here I can paste but not upload. Mount EBS, let's say title, password folder. Kiran, please send in mail. I have to share it with all of your mail IDs. Let me check to try to provide a paste bin link. I think it will not copy correctly from PDF. No. So let's try with the drive link only. If you're not getting, we will see. We will look into other options. Upload files. I already have this. Right. Guys, do you got it? Farin, yes. And Shravani, yes. Kiran? Kiran, did you got this? Sita, yes. Yes, okay. Try that. And we have, let's see how to make it available even after reboot. As I said, in your file system, say what is my file system, Linux file system, ls, let's say ls. I'll log in as root user first. su hyphen, and then go to my parent directory or root directory, say ls there. This is my Linux file system. In this file system, I have one file. Let me open this. One file called fstab. And I have to edit this fstab. And where is this fstab? In etc. Let us go. I have etc, right? Where is etc? etc. Let's go to etc. You can say etc/fstab directly, but just to understand, if you're getting errors, file not found error, something like that, you can check your path so that I am explaining the file system. So we are going to etc folder, cd etc. Say I'm in etc. Let's say ls. Look into the contents. We have lots of contents. Here I'll have something called as fs tab, and they are arranged in alphabetical order. No, not in alphabetical order. Oh, where is fs tab? Somewhere here there will be fs tab. It's B. Can you guys find that fs tab? It will be there in this list somewhere. RW tab is there, like
I
that.
have it in my machine. I got it.
You got it. Okay. Yes, here also it will be there in this list somewhere. File system below. Okay.
In the second column, ma'am.
Second column. This one.
Yeah, no, little down, above gcrypt. You can blue color gcrypt above, little above. Yeah, there.
Yeah, here is, yes. Thank you. And all these blue ones are folders or directories. All white ones are files. FS tab is a file. Let us open FS tab. For this, you have to log in as root user. If you are a regular user, it will not allow you to open. So let us look into this FS tab, VI, or you can also use touch. Let's use touch for now. FS tab. Yes, touch, FS tab. Sorry, not touch. Cat, guys. We are not, touch is to create. Sorry. Login as root user once again. And go here. Yes, and then cd etc. I know FS tab is here. Now I want to read. Touch is to write, create, not write, create, cat, FS tab. See, I got this. I got UIID something here, and then I have / file system is XFS, and this is defaults, no time, and 1. What this means is, okay, sorry guys. See, what this means is, this is your root volume ID, and root volume mount point is / and its file system is XFS, and its default file system, and 1 means do you want to take like a backup, something like that. So 1 means yes, 0 means no. So this, if you have your device entry in this file, then your Linux operating system will consider your disk when you reboot. Otherwise, every time when you reboot, you have to mount your disk. Clear? And then you have to edit it. So before editing it, it's better to copy, because it's an FS tab. It's related to your operating system. It's your operating system file. If you have rather than editing directly, it's better to copy it, take a copy of it and edit it. So take copy of FS tab and give any other name. FS tab, I'll say _ backup. Done. I have take backup. Now I will edit this FS tab. And we know how to edit it. We have to go to insert mode. VI is the command to edit, and escape I will take you to insert mode. Guys, you can try it later. You can follow the document. and let me know in next class whether you are able to do it or not. And I am in insert mode. Now I can edit this. It is showing permission denied. That means you are not root user. You have to log in as root user. Log in as root user and try. And also make sure that your path, you have to be in etc folder. You have to be root user, first thing. Second thing, you have to be in your etc path. So you can go through this. And now you have to make an entry. Your entry has to be like this. This is your root file system entry. And we have to give our entry. Is it there here? You mount data. Guys, here you no need to get this. No need to get this. You can directly use your device name. Here in this document, they are using UUID, this one. No need to go for it. Otherwise, if you, this is also correct procedure only, follow this. And I am not using this. I am directly going with my device name. Let me go here. What is there? Root volume device ID, mount point name, file system name, and then we have this. In the same way, I'll also make an entry. Do not edit this. You have to go to next line. This is your root volumes entry. I want to make my volume entry. That means dev xvdf. This is the name. And then mount point. My mount point name, extra volume. Or / is also fine. So no need / Let me check to use the / or not. Yes, / has to be there. Yeah, / means it's a folder. Extra volume in my case. And then file system. See, my file system is ext4. It's not XFS. If you have used ext4, you have to use ext4 only. Otherwise, you also use XFS, but you should declare your file system as XFS. But I have used ext4. My this name, path name, dev /xvdf, and then mount point name, extra volume, ext4 is my file system. Say defaults, and we'll say no. You can go with no time or no fail, and 0 0 instead of 1 1. Clear, guys? You are making an entry. You are registering in your operating system that this is also a default volume. Whenever your operating system reboots, it has to consider this also. So below your root volume entry, we are making our new volumes entry. New volumes device name, mount point name, file system name, You can go with as is. You can also give it as no time or no fail. Go with no fail. That means without fail, it has to consider this volume as also a default volume at the time of reboot. And you are saying 0, 0. No need to take backup. This is extra volume. No critical files are there here. That's why we are going with 0, 0. It will not take any backup. That's it. Clear? Any doubts in this? So try to do this and also follow this document, and this document procedure is a bit different. Here it is, right? This one. In this document, they are using UUID. And to get this UUID, this is the command sudo blkid. And after getting this, instead of using name, they are using ID. Now let me go back. And here, one more change. There has to be / in front of dev also. You can take screenshot of this. This has to be your entry. You can take screenshot of it, go through the document, and also take screenshot of this. Try this and let me know tomorrow. And also try mounting extra volume on Windows instance. Copy, what is the command? Yes, copy fs tab space, and you can give any other file name. Let me type in chat box. Copy fs tab space. So that is the command. Okay, now you have to save this. How to save? We already discussed while talking when we are launching web server. Escape, escape. Your insert mode will not be there. And now colon WQ exclamatory mark, right? Yes, yes, for incorrect. And hit enter. You have successfully made entry. Now check. Now after reboot also you should get this reboot. And how to check lsblk after reboot? Check, give the command lsblk. You should get your extra volume also without mount. Okay, any doubts, guys? And people who are not doing in class, please do it after the class. That's fine. If you are not doing also, it's fine. You can focus on what is going on the screen and all, but do it after the class within a day or two. Otherwise you'll forget. You cannot keep things in pace. You'll easily forget the things. So do it as soon as possible. Create your AWS account quickly and do the labs as soon as possible. Right? If you move to another
Hello.
topic, yes.
No, I don't have the Linux operating system, ma'am.
No need. This is not Linux operating system. This is your EC2 instance.
Okay.
This instance uses Linux operating system. This is your Linux EC2. I'm using Mac, and other participants here, they are using Windows. This is EC2 which we have created, and we are virtually accessing it. So go
Okay.
through the recordings. First create your AWS account, Sandeep.
Already there, ma'am.
Already there. Excellent. Go through the recordings
Okay, ma'am.
and follow that, creating EC2 instance, all those recordings. Then you will get to know.
Okay,
This is
ma'am.
virtual machine which we created on AWS.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and let me know tomorrow if you are successful with this, and also try to mount extra volume on Windows and let me know tomorrow. Okay, then see you tomorrow, guys. Have a good day. Bye bye. Don't forget to stop your instance. One more time, let me stop and quit the session. Always your instance state has to be stopped when you are not using it. Stop. Okay, then see you tomorrow. Bye bye.